Sometimes the stories we tell shape the stories we live, and sometimes the spotlight finds us before we're ready for it. Today, we are diving into that delicate dance between image and identity, between public perception and personal truth. I'm your host, Sana, and this is BizBlend Listeners, where we stir up the real talk behind the glossy press releases. My guest today, Lynn Aronberg, knows that dance better than the most. From her early days as a Miami Dolphins cheerleader to building a powerhouse PR firm with offices in Boca Raton and London, Lynn's journey has unfolded right under the media microscope, listeners. She's not just crafted narratives, she has lived through them. So let's pull back the curtain on what it really takes to master the art of public relations or PR in a world where every story can go viral before even the breakfast. So, Lynn, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really excited for this conversation.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Super, super. Okay, Lynn, let's begin with understanding this dual edge of publicity. So, if we look at it, your career, you have built it on helping others craft their public image. But at the same time, you have also been the headline yourself. So, how does living inside the media storm, change the way you approach PR for others?
That's a really good question. I
Mhm.
started my company in 2010, but prior to that, I worked for an agency, and I remember early on in my career, my boss saying, Lynn, we're supposed to get our clients press, not just ourselves." So
Mm.
that was because of my experience working in public relations while being a Dolphins cheerleader, which attracted media attention. So I found
Mm.
myself very early on in my career not only securing press coverage for the clients, but but finding myself in interviews as well. So that actually, in a positive way, affected my career because my relationship with the media was
Mhm.
unlike most other publicists. So while they were interviewing me, I then could
Mhm.
that relationship was that dynamic was slightly different than just me pitching them all the time. So, and if you're on CNN or you're in the UK and you're on the BBC and they're interviewing you as a Miami Dolphins cheerleader, you still build those relationships, and I'm able to
Mm.
leverage those relationships to help my clients to this day.
Wow. Wow. Do you think that is something like a skill that is kind of gifted with you or something that you like honed with experiences, time, networking, and all that?
I think, from my life, um, it sort of happened organically. However, I do think that any publicist would be wise to get involved in the community, participate in
Yeah.
things that perhaps could draw attention to them and elevate their profile, because
Mm.
if I believe that clients should do a certain thing, should that publicity will help them, then why would I
Mhm.
not think it would help me and help my business? So, I definitely think that it did happen pretty naturally simply because of the Dolphins kicking it off,
Mhm.
and then, my marriage was sort of in the spotlight to begin with. So those 2
Mhm.
things thrusted me into the media, but then again, I took it, to another level at different times in my career where I did get involved, where I did do the local, Dancing with the Stars version of, um,
Mm.
Boca Raton, for example. I didn't have to do that,
Yeah.
but I did that because A, I wanted to help raise money and help that cause, and B, because I knew it would be good for publicity.
That absolutely makes sense, Lynn. Absolutely makes sense. Huh, okay. And um, do you ever feel that being media savvy, and this especially, Lynn, trust me, this question is coming from an introvert person. Because do you ever feel that being media savvy also means being emotionally guarded?
Yes. I think
Okay.
I think media savvy is one thing, and how you really feel in your emotions are another. So, for example, with my divorce that we my team and I publicized simply because it was already getting that attention, so we had to craft the narrative and kind of take control of how that played out to the best of our ability. There are people,
Mhm.
because it was a very politically charged, um time in American history. And it was
Mhm.
and for the listeners who don't know, it was during Trump's first administration, and I had the
Oh,
quote unquote "Trump divorce." And
okay.
the public at large, they just either loved me or hated me, but at the end of the day, I knew they didn't love or hate me, they don't even know me. They have an opinion and a charged feeling about a certain topic, so that emotion my emotions were on where they were at home, and then that feedback was something that I created on purpose, so I don't you can't take it personally. It's not
Mm.
like, "Hi, nice to meet you," and you have a dinner with somebody and they don't like you and you like them, well, that might hurt your feelings. But if you look at it a certain way, and I think through the lens of a publicist, I know I crafted that image. Well, to the best of my ability. Of course, certain reporters and stuff can run with it and say what they wanna
Yeah.
say. But again,
Yeah.
you run that risk when you willingly go into, a campaign like that.
Yeah. Dealing with the devil.
Yeah. That's why
But
you always in a crisis communications, or if you find yourself not being proactive, but yet at the end of, the media storm, or for some reason you're garnering attention from the media, it's best not to run, not to hide, but to
mm,
actually face them so that you can say and create your narrative, and rather they're gonna write the story anyway. They're going to write it,
okay.
and so you might as well give it a chance to get your message out there. I see this over and over again where people
Mm.
do not talk to the media. If you don't talk to the media is going to cover that story likely anyway. That part's not
Mm.
up to you. So you might as well think about how you want that what you give yourself a voice rather than nothing.
I think this is golden. This is golden. And this is very evident, because especially in case of brands or companies, enterprises, um, either getting flack from the public or coming in some kind of controversy or scandal, we often see that because as a CEO, you are the face of the company. So sometimes your actions, it can really really shift the narrative or the opinion, the perception about you, about your company in a very, very different way. So I think this is a golden takeaway.
Absolutely. And sometimes life happens. So the best you can do as a CEO of somebody running a small company or a major corporation is to think in advance, have some sort of crisis communication plan, something
Mm.
in place. Um, should this happen, this is how we're going to handle this, or what are our talking points and our positioning, and work with somebody in terms of how to handle questions. Now, of course, you don't know what crisis might happen. It's all industry
Mm.
specific. But yes, I mean, even if you at least give it some thought and then consider, should something happen, how you're going to handle it. Because the media will can oftentimes make or break your business. And
Yeah.
might as well have them make it and befriend that reporter. Let that reporter know, look, I'm available to you. I will
Mm.
share with you information. You can even give them an exclusive, and then they're more
Mhm.
likely to like build a relationship with you because you're giving them the exclusive, and then at least you can have one
Mm.
main outlet have your back. So it's strategy.
Exactly. That is true. That is true. Okay. And I think the next part of the conversation, I mean, this is so, so relevant in today's day and age, Lynn. Um, you know, if you look back even 15, 20 years, or even before the social media was not there. It was restricted to print media or electronic media. Um, it was either like you could control the information, you could control the entire narrative on your own, or you could be a completely, frank, go ballistic, and charged up, something like that. But right now, um, especially, there are two points that I would like to share. One is this word authenticity. It is tossed around everywhere. It is also given importance, but at the same time, I think sometimes the lines get so much blurred when it comes to,
Yeah.
exploring what exactly being authentic means. And then the consumers, the viewers, the audience, they're becoming smarter. I mean, internet gives that entire treasure. Okay, this person had spoken this particular thing maybe 5 years back, but is kind of, speaking something different, completely opposite of what they had said. Um, so, PR thrives on storytelling, Lynn. So, how do you balance authenticity with the demands of crafting a perfect public image?
Well, okay, that's very salient points. I mean, you're right. 15, 20 years ago, things
Mm-hmm.
didn't necessarily go viral, right? Like take off like they do. So that's a good
Yeah.
thing. I get it's a we look at it as a good thing because
Okay.
technically, if you secure great media coverage, you then can give that media coverage a longer shelf life because
Mm.
I could take that print coverage that you got in the daily paper and now leverage it and let it live online longer, forever, if you'd like. Same with a TV clip. Now,
Mm.
being authentic, whether it was 20 years ago or it's now, if you're not authentic or you're comparing something you said, like in politics, 15 years ago to right now, the media tries to do a gotcha. So,
Mm.
specifically, I think your question probably pertains more to something like that, like political
Mm.
PR. And with that, a very careful crafting of your message to, because you're right, people watching, that authenticity or lack thereof comes through. So my advice, again, there's a lot of different examples, but if you can be honest and that's how you felt then because that was the situation and this is how you feel now, it's okay to change your mind. We're just people. People change their minds. So, but if you're caught, you know, I do a lot of political PR. If there's bad stuff, what you do is you try not to you don't want attention on that because that's what you
Mm.
did. But if it's happening now, the public likes you to be candid, apologetic, own up to what you did, and there's usually more forgiveness with that than running away
Mhm.
from it. So, but again, those are just ideas. It really is tailored specifically to the situation.
Of course, of course. And do clients ever resist like being too transparent, or do they even get uncomfortable, when you push them toward, being more authentic or something like that?
You know what? Yes. So, like clients, um, a lot of times I find it's interesting. So, if they are a philanthropist, if they give back, that's
Um,
great for PR, right?
mm,
But they've
mm,
been taught you give without boasting about it, right?
mm.
However, I have to tell them that's why you need me to boast about it because you're not boasting about it. And you are doing a great thing for the community. Not only are you doing that and you're giving, but by us creating attention about your corporation giving, you're
Mhm.
helping ultimately that charity or that philanthropic cause. So it's actually good to create awareness about that, not just because you're going to look good, but because you're going to help that cause. So the I get clients who they're trying to be modest. I'm like, I'm a publicist. You need me more than anybody because I'm the one who's going to take all these good things you're doing and that
Yeah.
you're concerned about being too out there. I'm going to talk about it. So things like that, I think. And if people, and they're generally speaking, though, that's the biggest, like from just a type of client who, with their charitable givings, I think they get the most uncomfortable. Um,
Mhm.
but as far as talking about themselves, their business, their product, these entrepreneurs think their stuff is the best thing that's ever created. There's no lack of confidence there. In fact, it's my job to say, I know what you created is amazing.
Mhm.
That's not up for debate. But what we have to do is talk about what's newsworthy and have to rein them in and let them understand who really cares about this thing you made and who doesn't. And I have to be frank with them and help them understand what is interesting.
Mhm. Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense, Lynn. Um, and kind of connected to this, it's more about the reputation, and I think especially when, um, you know, I think reputation has kind of become a new currency. Like it's harder to earn, but it's easier to lose, especially when cancel culture, it can turn perception into punishment. Like overnight, it can finish careers, it can do bad. So what's the most underrated factor, companies or corporates overlook when managing their reputation?
I think it's the fear of,
Uh-huh.
cancel culture and of the backlash. You have to be pretty, it's almost like assuming it's easy to get canceled.
Mm.
You have to create such a splash. There are all kinds of trolls and people on the internet saying things that are bombastic, and nobody's canceling them because nobody cares. So it's, while yes, you could be canceled, and I'm not saying there's no cancel culture. Of course there is. But in order for a movement to happen and you to be just tossed out, you have to really have kind of some power, some momentum, some attention. A lot of people have to care, right? And if they do care that much, that's actually a good thing because they're watching. So then there's always another avenue and a way to leverage the fact that people care. If they hate you or they love you, it's people care. It's when they don't care, we got a problem.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is valid. And you have been, I mean, as you shared your journey in the beginning, like you have been called everything from the Trump divorcee to a media powerhouse. Do you think women in the spotlight, they are still forced to navigate stereotypes differently than men?
Right? That's a good question. I think I would say generally speaking, everybody's in the same boat. It just depends on who, like for example, the ladies on The View. I'm a woman, they're women. They tore me to shreds. The only person who stuck up for me was Whoopi Goldberg. And even the person who plays the part of the more conservative one just bash me. I came home from lunch and my photo was on the cover, like the TV of The View. They were just talking, but they were untruths. I was just like, wow, okay, now let's just see how this unfolds. And as a result, Fox News had me on, I think that night or after that, as a
Mhm.
as a counter to what the lady on View was saying. So from a female perspective, that's the first time in my life that I was like, "Wait a minute. I'm feeling like a feminist now." I never felt like a labeled myself that, but I'm like a feminist that didn't know it because now I have to stick up for women who are being bashed by other women who are not in line with their politics, yet even if you are, you're still being bashed. I was like, that made me pause and think. So
Mm.
I think women to women can be vicious. So I don't think women have to I think we're all in a boat together. If they don't, especially when it
Mm.
comes to politics. Um, I think women, we have a lot of power. I would never give my power away. I think that women are strong, smart, successful. They can navigate just as well as a man can. And from my experience, that's just mine. When, I worked for myself most of my career, but when I did have a boss and I did start in PR, the man or woman, wasn't about our gender, it was about who's better at securing press coverage. So I had great mentors. I've had great experiences, and I still think it's a learning experience, even if the View didn't like me for whatever reason. They
Mhm.
I learned that that wasn't going to, again, make me feel bad about myself. They don't even know me. They have no idea how I feel. They have no idea that I created that. I'm more of the puppeteer and they're the puppets. I made them talk about me.
That's smart. That's smart. And I absolutely agree with you. It's not about, um, you know, which gender has the cerebral capacity or um, is smarter, but it's more about the human side,
Right.
talented or capability or skills, efforts. Yeah.
And I'm sure, just for the listeners, there
Mhm.
are experiences out there that are not in line with mine. And there's been lots of things that happen in history and currently and all over the world. So I don't want to ignore those people who have experienced anything like that. But generally speaking, from my experience, being a woman has been great. It has not stopped me or prohibited me in any way from doing or saying or achieving my goals.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. And I also appreciate that, you acknowledge that still there are biases, there are stereotypes. Um, it's a long way though, but then there are exceptions, obviously.
A- And to be honest with you, I don't,
Mm.
there could be lots of people stereotyping me. I'm sure there are. I just don't give it any credence. I don't care. I don't think about it. I may not even know about it, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't like me because I dye my hair blonde and I'm a woman and I was a cheerleader and I'm a Republican. Like who knows? But again, all those people, if that's true, they know who I am and I do not know who they are. So again, who's winning?
Bold. That's bold.
Have to be. You have to.
Exactly. And before we wrap up, I think we couldn't keep this particular topic away, especially for the PR industry. I think AI is shaking up every industry, whether it's media or art or movies or news or anything. PR as well. Do you see technology as an ally or a threat to the human driven storytelling part?
I 100% think it's an ally. I think over time, technology keeps advancing, and this is just another step into that direction. And if you embrace it rather than fight it and use it to the best of your ability and learn, I think it's really important to learn and understand. Take the time, even if you're not like a tech savvy, or something like that, take the time to try to learn and understand it so that it can benefit you. If there's a benefit to it, allow it to help you and understand it more. I think it's more the fear of the unknown. And I think in
Mm.
PR, I think it just helps because um, ultimately, at the end of the day, well, I can't see into the future. And I definitely don't know where it's going to go. I know what I don't know, but I do know so far it's only helped. I think that you need to be smart about it though. People, like you said, people are savvy. They see. So they see if you're writing everything on Chat GBT, sorry, I say B because I think it sounds better. It's Chat G. PT. I think that we're all understanding if that little dash mark is there, that that's probably was drafted by, you know, a AI platform. So it's just taking your time, but I think it's quick, it's easy. I don't know about the younger generation, like if they're just graduating and getting into the field of PR, if they're writing everything through that platform and not learning to write themselves. Is that bad or good? Mm, I would think that they have to direct the technology to what the hook is
Mm.
in order for it to write it, or ask the platform what the hook is. And is that actually bad? I don't know. At the end of the day, the client wants press coverage. And I don't think my clients care how I get it, just get it. So we'll see.
Mm. Yeah. I think it's wild. But at the same time, also, when it comes to AI, especially in PR, or videos or images, I think there's also discussion around the ethics there. Like it's very easy to kind of leverage AI to maybe like deep tech or some kind of thing, like create fake videos or fake voices or something. So, like, where's the ethical line for you, Lynn? Like, especially for when clients want you to shape a narrative that may not fully align with reality.
Oh, well, I think that's where, like, lawyers come in. So, definitely do not want to, and it's kind of alarming, some of the things that we're able to do now. Um, for example, I made a video, I think it was through Grok, and
Okay.
uploaded myself, and it basically said turned me into this thing. It's like, "Who does your PR? Oh, you don't have a publicist? Think it's about time we talk." And that
Mm.
was me, and it was myself, but it was clearly done through AI, and I got great feedback from that. So I think, obviously, pretending you're somebody else and using their voice and all the things that we all know AI is capable of, that's where it gets legal and wrong, and you don't do that. If it's you're using it as a tool, like I did, and got great feedback, demonstrated to my viewers that I'm embracing AI. I want to
Mm.
keep it light, show them that, hey, you need PR too, because it clearly wasn't me. And I think
Mm.
it's your judgment. You need to have sound judgment, and again, educate yourself on it. And I do think there are plenty of ways where
Mm.
copying someone or pretending to be them, or all kinds of scenarios, and that's why you need a good lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Lynn, before we wrap up, if listeners they would like to connect with you, what would be the best way?
I think the best way would be to email me directly and put your name and the name of the podcast in the subject line so I know where they came from. And my email address is Lynn, Lynn, at linnaronberg.com. And that's ARONBERG.com.
Super. Listeners, what I'll do is I'll have all the details in the show notes for you. So just refer to them along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. And I think what Lynn reminds us is no matter how polished headline or how viral the story is, behind every brand is a person navigating their own narrative. Lynn, thank you so, so much. This was such a bold, fiery, straightforward, no BS conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Super, super. Listeners, PR might be about managing perception, but I believe at its core, it's still about human connection. So as we wrap today, remember that your story isn't just how the world sees you, it's how you choose to show up in it. I'm Sana, and thanks for tuning into BizBlend. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.